Welcome everybody to another exciting episode of HomeKit Insider. You've got me, Andrew O'Hara, here with my pal and the man. This is true fact right here. He once won a competition for most igneous rocks in his mouth at once. It is S to the T to the even Robles. How you doing, dude?
I'm good. I was like, it's going to take you a while if you're going to do the whole name. He's got to bail on that
Just spell
thing.
out the entire thing.
Bail out. You know, when you started with the igneous rock thing, I actually did have a rock collection when I was a kid. I enjoyed collecting. You got the amethyst and the citrine.
Were you collecting them in your mouth?
No,
to practice for that competition you won?
No, I didn't.
I love that the competition was very specific. They're like, let's just do igneous. Like, I don't want to do no sedimentary. We don't want to like get that can be dangerous.
Metamorphic.
Yeah,
none
don't want
of
none of that. It's igneous. You got a bumper sticker. I'm pretty sure. Like igneous or bust. Like
igneous or bust. That's right. No, but I did. I had pyrite, which was like the fool's gold. I liked my little rock collection.
Who doesn't have pyrite? I mean,
yeah, that's true.
We travel like a lot, right, for vacation. We go up to like Michigan and stuff, and you go into like those, glitchy little gift shops, and of course they have like the giant bin of
the
worthless
rocks.
Things, and you just fill a little bag.
Worthless.
It's like for $3, fill this bag with as much of this useless stuff as you can, and you can take it off our hands.
Now, we do the step further. Now when we go up to North Carolina, we do the gem mining, which is basically like you buy a bucket of rocks. And
I've seen those, and you can buy those and have them mailed to your house. And you buy their things, and you can just sift through and figure out what worthless piece of rocks they put in there for you. Like, it's so handy.
Well, they're not worthless when you have to buy them so you sift the rocks.
You're basically paying for shipping. Like, you're literally just buying sand and mostly useless nonsense.
Well, the places that we go, so you sift through, you get the gems or whatever that are in this rock bucket. And then if you get like a gem, you can have it like smoothed and put in a piece of jewelry, like a necklace or something. And that's where they get you. That's where it's like...
There's the upsell. There's where the upsell comes in.
It's like, I don't know if you could be the same place that like sells you the bucket of rocks and then also polishes it and sets it in a piece of jewelry. But
you just bought the breadsticks when the coupon popped up at checkout. Like, that's what it was. You bought those hot lava cakes. You were done. You bought the main thing, and then you're like,
and it's $500. $500 to turn a rock into a precious stone, quote unquote.
But don't worry, now you got a piece of pyrite around your neck.
You got a citrine necklace, All right, anyway, we're literally talking about rocks for the first 3 minutes of the episode. I think that's a record. That's the new one.
Wow, look at our drop-off numbers. It's incredible how many people are still with us. Like, there's none.
They are locked in. We have a whole probably segment of geologists and rock lovers, and they're like, I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting 166 episodes for them to talk about rocks. And this was the one we did it in. And speaking of people who love the show, by the way, we have one 5-star review shout-out, Nicole from New Zealand. Listening across the world, she is a female HomeKiteer. She got her partner on board the smart home train as well. Thank you, Nicole, for that 5-star review. We have a whole contingent of female HomeKiteers out there, Andrew. They're
I love that she's also from New Zealand. That is 100% on my list of places to go.
Oh yes.
And I'm not even a big I know a lot of people say, I'm going to New Zealand because I love the Lord of the Rings. I'm not a fan of just walking for 5 hours. So I'm not a fan of those movies. But New Zealand just looks incredible, and I'm so excited.
I mean, yes to the New Zealand part. Looks beautiful. What do you mean you're not a fan of those movies? Well, how did this
Lord of the Rings
before?
Movies?
What? I mean, do you not like them?
No.
Andrew, if I would have known this at the beginning, we would never started this podcast. I don't understand. We don't have time to get into it today, but this is
the
a travesty.
Equivalent of watching paint dry to me. They walk for hours. And then I have a friend who likes those movies, and then she's like, did you know they have like a director's cut? And it's like even longer with more walking. And I couldn't.
Okay.
I tried, and I've fallen asleep, and I don't fall asleep during movies. I've never done that. I'm a huge movie person. First movie I've ever fallen asleep in. I can't do it.
I don't even know where to go from here. I can't. I will say I totally ruined my wife because her first exposure to Lord of the Rings, we did a marathon with like Lord of the Rings fans of the extended editions. So it was literally 12 hours straight of Lord of the Rings, and that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. But anyway, I can't believe you don't like. I can't even talk about this anymore. We have to get to some smart home stuff. Oh, by the way, I've been traveling. Thank you and Faith for you have a wonderful video show last week. I saw the. I didn't get a chance to watch or listen yet, but I saw you guys with your baby and you had like a fun thumbnail. That was fun. That was good.
I'm
good
still
show.
finding Cheerios around the studio. I'm
Yeah,
just
it's
saying.
inevitable. It's inevitable. But since I was traveling, now that I have real world experience, I just want to mention one more time this guy right here, which is the Anchor 3-in-1. I used this for the entire 2-week trip. Guess what? Love this thing. It's wonderful. It was great just in a hotel room.
We're going to circle back on some MagSafe talk.
Okay, I'm just saying. I like that thing. It worked out great. And I didn't realize, I think maybe I said something last time, but the Apple Watch is a fast charger. This is a fast charging Apple Watch module. Fast charging! Anyway, you can charge Gandalf's Apple Watch in half the time of the extended edition. Okay. You put some mysterious thing in here, 12 days. I don't know if this is HomeKit news. What is this?
Nope.
What is 12 days?
Steven.
Yes.
If we're listening to this on Monday, I'm pretty sure if I've done my math correctly, it means it's only 12 days until college football season. I'm so excited. Got my Ohio State ad on today. Excited. I cannot wait. We're getting so close. We're getting into regular football season, fantasy football drafts, so many things. So excited. That's all I had to say.
Wow. Okay. Well, how you feel about Lord of the Rings, I mean, I feel about sports ball. But anyway, as we go to this next, first of all, I was in Ohio. That was one of the places that we traveled on our 2-week journey. I was in Ohio. I saw since I was in Cincinnati, Columbus. Anyway, I'm going to go to this next piece while Andrew adjusts his microphone because I keep hearing his shirt touch it, and I know our listeners do too, and they're going to be like, why didn't you tell Andrew to fix his mic? And so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm asking Andrew to fix his microphone so we don't hear his little shirt ruffling. And because he's got a rant. He's got a rant next, and so that's why he has to adjust his microphone. This is our weekly segment of Andrew hates Threads social network more than anyone hates anything else. So why? Why do we keep talking about this?
It's not me. I'm not writing these articles. I'm not writing the massive articles. I'm not making up these facts and figures that show the ridiculous number of threads drop off. The latest one comes to us saying that they have now lost more than 80% of their actual users. So like we talked before how their like engagement time had dropped down to like 2 minutes or something, and now they're down to 80% of the people have dropped off. I'm just saying it's not going well. And don't get me wrong, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, is literally a pile of its own problems over there. So I'm not like, I'm not, absolving them of their issues over there. I'm just saying Thread's not going so hot. I more have a vendetta against Zuckerberg and the Facebook fam than anything. And I'm still on Threads.
That is true.
Still answering, still posted on there.
Yeah, I'm on Threads.
Or we're doing it. We're doing it. I'm less than that 2 minutes, though.
I posted that dramatic video where I changed Twitter to Threads in my doc. And I'm going to be honest, I think I'm going to change it back. Only because even now, even weeks later, I'm just getting more engagement still on Twitter. Yes. I do have a larger following there, but like you said, like it's just more engagement. Although I will say, I finally saw a news article say an ex-user said, and then quoted a tweet. I don't know if we're still calling them tweets. And it took me like a whole minute to be like, an ex-user? What is that? What are you talking about? What is an ex-user? And I was like, right, they're trying to stay on brand. They can't say Twitter user anymore. They have to say ex-user 12345. And I was like, that just looks weird in a news article, like saying, hey, but anyway.
We can get into the whole why rebranding to X is a terrible idea for many, many, many reasons. But we're not getting into it. No. You can only rant on one social network a week, okay? Andrew hates Threads. That's the segment. That's the new segment. I don't hate it. 80% of its users hate it.
No, it's not that they hate it. I think it's just,
I guess ex-users. Oh, now that's confusing now. They're ex-Threads users.
Oh, they're ex. Well, you have some ex users too, I imagine.
Probably.
So confusing. All right, let's talk about some HomeKit stuff, though. Let's lift the mood. Talk about our friends at SwitchBot. SwitchBot, their Hub 2 has an update. They're bringing Matter support to their IR control. So if you're not familiar, the SwitchBot Hub 2 had Matter support for some things, like its temperature and sensors, and it brings some SwitchBot devices into the Home app with HomeKit. And now you'll actually be able to bring some IR control in from the SwitchBot Hub. So, for instance, if you have an air conditioning unit or a TV that is only controllable via IR blaster, or maybe a fan, like a tower fan, that you'll actually be able, in the latest update, be able to bring those devices into the Home app via the IR control from the SwitchBot Hub 2, because that IR control is going to be Matter supported. And I think I read correctly, the robot fingers that we have talked about many times are actually going to be exposed to Matter as well. So you'll be able to control the SwitchBot robot fingers, little robot, the little switch thing, and in the Home app. I thought that's pretty cool. That's fun stuff. There you go.
Nice.
Are you excited? Yeah. I don't really have anything that needs IR control anymore.
I know, that's kind of where it was. Like, if this was like 5-6 years ago, 100%. I know I had things.
All about it.
That was even before, TVs had, native HomeKit stuff, and the Apple TV was, like, so easily accessible from the control center. All these things, like, million%. And now I'm kind of the point, like, do I have anything that's IR anymore? And I honestly don't think I do. Actually, I do have a Dyson fan. One of the...
Okay.
Like, I literally had this in college as my space heater, because, college houses... And it was like the fan plus a heater and all that stuff, and it does have a little remote. So perhaps there I could actually control that. But the remote also seems to work. Okay. All right. Very cool. Now, last week you and Faith, you talked about the Aqara App update. So I don't know where that came from. The Aqara App update, which mentioned also the G3 camera had Matter, but the app update also means that scenes that you create in the Aqara app, you can now bring over to the Home app. And so that's one of the new things. The Hue app does this too. You can have the Hue app, you create a scene that customizes some light colors, like gradients or whatever, and then you can create that scene in the Hue app and push it over to the Home app. And the Home app doesn't allow you to do things like gradients natively in things like the Hue sign, floor lamp, and things like that. So the Aqara app has that now too. And I just have to say, I want to give Aqara some more credit. Not only have they released just tons of devices, but the app overall, is pretty nice. Like, they've worked on the design. I have a lot of contact sensors through Aqara, and I just added some recently. And I know the Home app is going to get this in iOS 17 with the activity timeline where you can see when doors were opened and by who and what. But this is something that Aqara has had forever. Here's one of my contact sensors, and you can see door closed, door open, and all that. And that's where actually I still program if a door is left open for X minutes, I get the notification from the Aqara. That's why I use a bunch of their contact sensors. And HomeKit still doesn't have that in iOS 17, if a door is left open for X minutes. I know you can create a shortcut. I know there's lots of, you could use push cuts or whatever. In my experience, those are all janky and don't work consistently. And just the Aqara app doing it natively, it just works every time. And so that's why I do it. So, kudos to Aqara. They make cool stuff. The app is getting really good. So, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. There you go. Speaking of good stuff, I want to thank our first sponsor, Andrew. I want to thank our friends at MasterClass. I love MasterClass. I've been watching more and more MasterClasses. I don't know if I mentioned it on this show or not, but I recently watched... Gordon Ramsay, he's been on there forever. His courses on MasterClass have been there for a long time. But I watched him make mashed potatoes for the first time recently. Have you seen Gordon Ramsay make mashed potatoes? I've seen Gordon Ramsay make a lot of things. I can't remember if I've seen mashed potatoes specifically.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's a work of art. It's wonderful. I would never think to make mashed potatoes how he makes mashed potatoes, but the way he's doing it, and I like it, they put the instructions on screen as he's doing it with the amounts, and just the end result of these mashed potatoes. He put some chives on it, lots of butter, more butter, it just looked delicious. And I was like, I want to do that. And I actually showed it to multiple people. I showed it to my mom. I was like, Mom, look at these mashed potatoes. Don't they look amazing? And that's what MasterClass gets. It just gets you excited about something, like mashed potatoes. But not only that, MasterClass has over 100 classes to pick from. Some of my favorites, Chris Voss, he has the Art of Negotiation class on there. I read his book. MasterClass is even better. You see him talking about it. And negotiation, you might think well, I'm not a hostage negotiator. That's what his background is. But any business conversation you have to have, negotiating a contract, if you're a freelancer, you need those kind of communication and negotiation skills. So I love that. I like the Neil deGrasse Tyson with astronomy, and Chris Hadfield, also the astronaut, scientific thinking. I love all that kind of stuff. And I saw Questlove on there. I watched some Questlove course or classes where he was, and Questlove is of the Roots band. He's on the Tonight Show, and he's talking about DJing. I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna DJ, but I know my son is into like hip hop music and stuff. And I was like, look at this. This is something that we can connect on and we can watch it. I love it. I don't know. Have you ever seen something on MasterClass that you enjoyed? And
Yeah, I've watched a lot of the cooking ones. Penn and Teller have a really great one. Like, I used to do corporate magic and stuff like that, and I can just listen to Penn Jillette talk about anything. Like, his books are all fantastic. And the way that they break their things down, like the psychology of stuff, is just crazy cool. So he goes through, like, basics of, like, kind of magic stuff, but he also has so many insights on so many other things. Plus, I love, Steven, how you can listen to these as just as audio. So you can, like, hop in the car and basically have, like, MasterClass podcasts. Because you don't always need to watch. And sometimes that's the best time to do it, is when you're on the road. So that's been a huge thing, especially right now with the writer strike going on. There's no, like, rewatch podcast happening. So, perfect time to pick up something else.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So, MasterClass is wonderful. And yeah, that's one of my favorite ways. You can watch it on your iPhone, your iPad, app on Apple TV. You can just stream it in the web. Like Andrew was saying, on your iPhone, you could just switch a little toggle from video to audio only when you jump in the car. And lessons are just about 10 minutes each. And so you can just, do it on your lunch break, or you can binge like a whole class in an evening if you'd like. That could be fun too. So you got to try MasterClass. Also, it just looks amazing, sounds amazing. So here's what you do. Get unlimited access to every class right now. As a HomeKit Insider listener, you can get 15% off when you go to masterclass.com/HomeKit. That's masterclass.com/HomeKit for 15% off an annual membership. And then you get access to all those classes at once. You don't even have to pick and choose. Just binge them all. Binge them all. Masterclass.com/HomeKit. And that link is also in the show notes. You can just click it there. Our thanks to MasterClass for sponsoring this episode.
Can I just request that anyone who signs up for MasterClass and makes Gordon Ramsay's potatoes, please send them to me on Twitter. Like, I just want to see somebody make them. I want to see them. Yep, I want to see them. I want to see someone else make them.
Ship them in a box.
Don't send them to me. Do not mail me potatoes.
Have you ever heard of Mail a Spud?
Of course.
You ever heard of this?
Of course.
I love Mail a Spud so much. You can stick those stamps on
potatoes, no problem.
Oh my goodness. I want to I'm going to put this link in the show notes because it's just so good, and I'm going to show the website right here. If listeners, I do this as a practical joke all the time. If you've never heard of Mail a Spud, this company, you literally tell them what to write on a physical, literal potato in permanent marker, and they will ship that potato to anyone you choose. I forgot how much it is. I think it's like $15. Obviously overpriced for potato, but you're not paying for potato. You're paying for a message written on a potato and shipped to a friend as a big joke. And so I had a friend who they would always, like, when they weren't feeling great about themselves, they were like, I feel like a potato. And then so what I did was I went to mailaspud.com and I had them write on the potato, this is a potato. You're not a potato. And then they got a potato in the mail. And it's hilarious. It's literally the best. Mailaspud.com. They have not sponsored this show, but they should. Mail a Spud. That's all I want to say. Andrew, you should send a Mail a Spud to Threads. Just say, I don't like you. Just written on a potato. Yeah, that would work out good. All right. So next up, Sengled. Sengled. I still don't even know how to say this company name. Sengled? Sengled. First Matter Smart Bulb. So if you want to get a Sengled bulb, this is Matter supported, so obviously it will work in HomeKit as well. There you go. Another smart bulb. I'm still not a big smart bulb fan. I kind of like the light switches more, but if you need a bulb, you got a bulb. Sengled bulb.
There's just there's those use cases for bulbs, but it's something that I'm kind of like just burnt out on. Like, I have so many smart bulbs.
Yeah.
I will say, just completely random.
That was a good pun.
Completely random thing. I've had a lot of bulbs die, like, right over the years. I've been doing the smart home stuff for some time. I'm pretty sure like my longest running bulbs that I've had like 2 ever die out, and I literally reviewed the original Hue set when they launched, like a long time ago. But no, my Hue bulbs just don't die. Like, their lifespan is insane, and yet I've had several other brand smart bulbs just keel over on me. And then you like go down and you're like, why aren't those lights coming on? Okay, it's not responsive. And I don't know if it's like the smart tech has just died and there's a reliability issue there, or if the bulbs themselves are just burnt out. But it happens. So there are times where I need to replace them. And the Hue ones and the reliability is pretty insane how long they've lasted.
It is insane. I've never had a Hue bulb go out. Like colors, or I also have just like the white ambiance ones that do different shades of white. Like all of them, just rock solid. So, yeah, that is true. If I get a bulb, I usually go Hue bulb. All right. Now this, you put this in here. Talking about Apple Watch accessory makers have to switch to newer, costlier, fast-charging module. And, yeah, what is this about? You got Qi, you got MagSafe, you got the fast charge Apple Watch.
So
what are we talking about?
Basically, so the headline story here that we ran with. So I was talking to some accessory manufacturers and kind of broke out all this kind of news. And the story that we ran with that got picked up by a few other outlets is that Apple is forcing manufacturers to switch to the new fast charge Apple Watch module. They're discontinuing the original slower puck, and starting in September, you're only going to be able to order the new fast charge modules. So basically, coming up on like early next year, you're not even going to be able to find the slow charging Apple Watch puck. They're all going to be the new ones. They're all going to be fast ones. That's great for consumers.
That's great.
All good.
Yeah.
The small little part that kind of got buried at the bottom of the article that no one else had even, I'm pretty sure in like some of the articles that had quoted ours, they didn't even pick up on this, but this was the part that I thought was very curious. And I'm curious to get your thoughts on it too, Stephen. Apple is supposed to be offering, so when you do a MagSafe charger like the Anchor Cube there, you're buying that module from Apple. You have to buy that MagSafe module. Historically, they have been just the round white puck. Starting with the Anchor Cube, they've actually done like a behind-the-scenes one where you can cover with a different surface material, but they've offered the MagSafe pucks.
Right.
Now they're going to actually offer the MagSafe one, but they're also going to sell a Qi2 module. And the accessory makers told me that the Qi2 module is far cheaper than the MagSafe module. So, Stephen, if MagSafe and Qi2 both have the same ring of magnets, they both offer 15 watts of charging, but Qi2 also delivers that universal experience with Android phones, why would anybody buy the MagSafe module? Like I'm talking about accessory manufacturers. Why would you buy the MFM module versus the Qi2 module? It's really weird that Apple's going to be selling both modules. If you're making an accessory, you have to choose. Do you want MagSafe or Qi2? And at least right now, there's no difference in features or performance between these two modules. So I'm really curious at what your thoughts are.
Well, I'm curious if manufacturers choose the Qi2 module, do they still get MFI certification, the made for iPhone program?
Well, they wouldn't, but you can use ones that say like compatible with MagSafe or anything like that. This is also near 100% as much as it can be confirmation that the iPhone 15 is going to support Qi2, which has already been rumored since like June or earlier, but more confirmation, right? That Qi2 is coming to iPhone 15. You can't put the exact badge on there that says like made for MagSafe.
Right.
But if the only difference is that thing, and you can still write compatible with MagSafe. There's people right now who have uncertified Qi chargers with rings of magnets. They say compatible with Apple MagSafe right on the box.
Right. There's a ton of like car chargers like that where it's they'll say compatible with MagSafe. It holds the iPhone up, but it's not Apple's MagSafe module, and a ton of chargers. I mean, I guess the other question I have, I don't know if we know this, if Apple's MagSafe module includes the magnet part, and does the Qi2 module, is it just like the charging mechanism and manufacturing?
Should be everything. Yep.
Should be both.
Yeah, you should be good to go. They're basically same thing.
I don't know. Like I don't know if like magnet strength is an issue or if that's even like a factor or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if you were a third-party manufacturer like Satechi and like those guys, probably Anchor, like they'll probably all go with the Qi2 module, I would imagine. I don't know why you wouldn't.
But the ones that I've talked to, they're literally like, oh, we're primarily putting our money into MFM, and then we're going to do a small order of the Qi2. Like they're going to literally make two nearly identical products, one using MFM and then a smaller subset using Qi2 as kind of a gamble.
I mean, I get it. I'm like one of the people where like I actually have the box for the Anchor thing, like these little labels, like made for MagSafe, made for Apple Watch, I do think that for third-party accessory manufacturers, like those might be selling points for people to actually want to buy it. Like I know when I see like labels like that, I'm more inclined to pick this up. And if you want to be in the Apple Store on the shelf, like all of Belkin stuff, Anchor, like this is actually in the Apple Store now. I went there to get my iPhone repaired. Long story. We'll tell that story.
It launched as an Apple exclusive, I believe.
Right, launched as an Apple exclusive. Same with the that Mophie or the Zag 3-in-1. Like that's in the store. And so if manufacturers, I think, want a chance to be in the Apple Store, or maybe they work with Apple, say like we're going to use the MFM, we want to be there. Belkin, like
what kind of game is that?
I do
like,
think
hey, they're exactly the same, but we can only put you in the Apple stores if you use the more expensive module.
Well, and I don't think that, like, it's not going to be a guarantee.
Well, yeah, you only have a chance.
I mean,
you're
it's
literally gambling at that point to go with MFM on the hopes that you can get in an Apple store.
But I also, not only that, but I do think, again, like the customer recognition and likelihood to buy. Like, if I was in Best Buy, and I'm sure there are customers like me, and I'm looking at all these different chargers that basically all look the same, probably similar price points, but I see like one of the MagSafe things that say, made for iPhone or made for MagSafe, like I am personally, like, I will take a closer look at that and might be more inclined to buy it than a brand. Like, even if I don't recognize the brand as much, I would be more curious with that label. And so maybe for upcoming brands that are not Anchor, Belkin, and Zag, Mophie, like the made for iPhone, maybe it's a benefit to them for brand recognition.
Would you, if say it's this fall, you're shopping for chargers, and Qi2 and MagSafe are available. Your Qi2 one is 10% less. Are you going to go for the MagSafe one, or are you going to go for the Qi2 one?
MagSafe one. I don't like and I think a lot of iPhone users, again, just look at all the threads, both on X and on Threads, about battery health percentage. Like, it is some of the most highest engaged posts.
Yeah, they're ridiculous.
Everyone wants to post their battery health percentage. If you want engagement on any of those platforms, just post a screenshot of your battery health percentage and be like, what's everybody got? Or you could say, worst battery health of any iPhone I've ever had. Whatever you want, like engagement bait to the max. But I think it goes to show that most iPhone users are kind of obsessed about battery health and charging. And so when because everyone thinks, well, not everyone, but because like I would say enthusiast, like nerd community, whatever you want to call it, like those who are really like the power users of Apple devices, I do think they think about what is charging
exactly
my iPhone. Like
the same. Literally, Qi2 is MagSafe.
Doesn't matter.
It's literally just open MagSafe.
You can make this argument about cereal or medications. Like when you go to the cereal aisle, you can either buy Honey Nut Cheerios or you buy like the no-name one that doesn't come in a box, that comes in like a big plastic bag at the bottom.
But some of those, they do taste bad.
Like
they aren't nearly. Some of them aren't nearly as good. Some are.
Sure. And some chargers are bad.
I know, but we're talking here. Literally, it's not,
even if they're using
them. Take Lucky Charms and then just swap out one of the marshmallows for a different color and then sell it for cheaper. If it was literally the exact same thing, but it was cheaper, like that's what I'm saying. Qi2 is. It's literally MagSafe.
Nah, because I think
there's no difference in efficiency and performance.
Yeah, but I think it's,
or at least as far as we know.
I get all that. I think it's strictly a brand thing, and like I think it's even more exacerbated on Amazon, because you can search for anything on Amazon, and it's a little bit of a crapshoot now, because like before you search on Amazon, it's like one of the top few results are going to be a good thing you should buy. Now when you search on Amazon, the first 5 things you see are sponsored items, and then the next few are like maybe they're good, maybe they're not, and then like the Anchor one or the whatever, like it might be farther down the list. And so if you're a manufacturer of MagSafe stuff or chargers or whatever, and you want to stand out also on Amazon, which is even harder to stand out, like at least at Best Buy, you can have packaging and you can have little labels thing and you can be eye-catching with how you package your stuff. But on Amazon, like all you see is like that little like the product on the white background. But if you could say in the title, or you could put in that little product image like made for MagSafe with the little Apple logo, Like that little Apple logo, I think means a lot to people. And so, yes, it's exactly the same thing, but I don't know. I think for some manufacturers, they're going to use that as like their marketing plan. That's my thought.
It just, I don't know.
And you're so mad about Threads.
No,
and
I'm curious. Honestly, if there was a difference, I'm all for like if there's a difference. But it's just interesting that Apple's keeping it around. Like they could have literally just offered the Qi2 module and then still offered an MFI certification, because you can still send your products in, get it certified, and like, yep, you're good to go. This works perfectly. Here's your made for iPhone MFM certification on it, even though you're based on Qi2. It's weird that they literally sell the two different modules.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like the white puck versus the coil type situation. But I've been curious. The other thing is if Apple actually introduces something unique to MagSafe to keep it, preferable, right? Is if Apple does, maybe we get 20 watts through MagSafe. Apple contributes old MagSafe to Qi2, and then they bump up their charging speeds to 20 watt. Or maybe they, figure out data, which we haven't heard anything about. This is all speculation. But, maybe they offer data with that or something. Like something else that can make it unique. They do have little things, like this isn't a Qi2 thing, right? But it's more of like for cases. But snap a case onto your phone, and it's going to match the color using a little NFC chip. There's actually an NFC reader in MagSafe. There's not an NFC reader in Qi2, as far as I know. So like they could do something like that, but so far it's been years, and they've done literally nothing with that. And I've talked to accessory manufacturers like, hey, can you replicate this? Can you just put an NFC chip into your iPhone cases and match the color and do like the same thing? And they're like, no, we can't. So it's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's more I want to understand than anything else.
The last thing I'll say too is like, every time like when I was on a road trip, so you go to the gas station and you see like all like the phone chargers by the front, because everyone knows if people are traveling, they might need a charger. You could tell me with 100% certainty that this like iPhone charger is 20 watts and it's going to do the same thing as Apple's 20-watt charger, but it's just some off-brand deal. Like, and I don't recognize it, and I don't like. I will never plug that thing into my phone. Like, I do not want to plug in the gas station charger. And like, maybe that's super petty. Maybe that's just like super, like anal about what charges my phone. But that's how I feel.
The ones in gas stations, you'll notice the difference. Hey, you can buy this USB-C cable for $5, or if you want the Lightning one, it's $19. Like, you're $18.99 on that because you had to go through the MFI program. And there's an MFI logo badge on that thing. And Apple will crack down, especially on physical retailers selling, non-branded. So like I would trust those, and that is the thing. Never heard of Shocktonics, but they make a USB Lightning cable, but it has Apple's logo and it's $20. I'm probably going to trust that versus the shady ones that you buy off Temu or Alibaba that are coming without
Power Juice. Power Juice is the brand.
USB-C, right? I mean, I've been saying this for the longest time, but as the iPhone moves to USB-C, we're going to have that problem. And you're going to be able to find those $5 cables, but there's no way those are meeting the USB-C or the USB-IF certifications. Like,
Right. That's why I either keep my cables that come with Apple devices, or I buy like a Monoprice has good cables, and Anchor. I just buy those cables. Anchor has still never sponsored any show on the Apple Insider Network. Anchor. Someone out there works at Anchor. It is time. I've said your name enough times on all these podcasts. I'm literally holding your thing up. Look at this thing. Anyway, you should sponsor the show. All right, let's thank our second and final sponsor, and then I want to talk about some travel experiences. But our thanks go out to ExpressVPN. Listen, what if there was someone out there who kept a log of every single thing you did every minute of the day? One, that would be terrifying. Number two, I don't even know what I would do. But not only would it be creepy, but that's what happens when you go online. And I have to tell you, I went online in a lot of shady places. Well, not that I was going to shady places, but it felt like shady networks as I was traveling, because you're in hotels. They have the free Wi-Fi, but I mean, you don't know what's happening on that Wi-Fi network. That's why I used ExpressVPN when I was traveling, because ExpressVPN reroutes your internet connection through their secure servers, so your internet provider or your hotel or that weird cafe place that you had to stop on the side of the road trip, they can't see or log what you do online. And you might be wondering, well, if all my data is going through a VPN, doesn't that just mean the VPN can see what I'm doing? You're right to think that. Many VPNs claim to have no-log policies, but have been caught red-handed logging customer activity. Well, ExpressVPN is the only VPN I trust because they use trusted server technology. I think there's a trademark after that. They were the first major VPN provider to engineer all their VPN servers to run in RAM. This and I think Andrew helped him with that. Didn't you advise them on that? Didn't you say you got to get this stuff running in RAM? Yeah. He was a part of that whole that's not actually true, and that's not part of the ad read. But anyway, this makes it impossible for their VPN servers to store any data. And you don't have to take my or ExpressVPN's word for it. ExpressVPN is so confident in their no-logs claim, they even had one of the biggest assurance firms, PricewaterhouseCoopers, audit their technology. That's a big deal. That's why ExpressVPN is rated numero uno. Number one. I learned that from our other sponsor, Babbel. Numero uno by CNET, Wired, TechRadar, and countless others. So stop letting people keep logs of what you do online. Visit expressvpn.com/HKI right now and find out how you can get 3 months, trace meses for free. That's expressvpn.com/HKI, expressvpn.com/HKI to learn more. Thanks, ExpressVPN. Now, speaking of traveling and coming back from a trip, I don't know about you, Andrew. When you come back from being away from the house for a while, do you find your smart home in like varying levels of disarray sometimes? Some devices like freaking out?
Especially because before we leave, I always do kind of like an overall check. It's like, okay, I'm going to make sure we got like fresh batteries in the door lock. Don't want that, acting up while we're gone. Make sure we got, all of like the Arlo cameras charged so that, our house is secured. Like trying to kind of do a general tidying up. And then you come home and you're like, well, there was, a bird that sent off that camera 1,000 times, and now that one's dead, and you gotta do it all again.
The birds just flying back and forth. Yeah, so that was it. So while we were away, I loved like still being able to see the doorbell camera. Some people would ring the doorbell, and I'd be like, hey, there's someone at the doorbell. I didn't ever talk to them. I would just ignore it. But I saw it. I got to see them come up to the door, so I like doing the doorbell camera. I checked in on the camera sometimes. I have a camera in the garage, which I highly recommend for another point that I'm going to get to in a second. I highly recommend putting a camera in the garage if you use a smart garage door opener, because then you can always just pop in on the camera and check out what's going on in the garage. Is the garage door closed? Are the cars still there? Just check it out. So I like having a camera in the garage, and even more so for reason 2, being that my garage door status started freaking out where it would think there's an obstruction. And then even though I closed the garage, or it was closed, my HomeKit app would say it's open. And it would say garage door open. And if you're away from home, like that's not something you want to see. You don't want to see that your garage door is open and you're 1,000 miles away from home. So I would pop into the camera and I would clearly see that the door was closed. And it did this weird thing where I would have to like tap the garage door in the Home app and it would close because it was open. Even I'm sorry. It would open even though the Home app already thought it was open. And then I would hit it again, and it would close, and then all of a sudden the status was, like, fixed. It didn't say obstruction. It actually showed the doors closed, and it was actually closed. I don't know why it does that sometimes. I still experience that even when I'm home occasionally in the past week. But that was weird. Garage status was weird. But thankfully, having the camera in the garage, you can see the status. So that's a pro tip. Also, I love my HomeKit buttons, as I've talked about on this show. Multiple buttons, just dead. Just dead. No, battery's dead. I had to change an Aqara button. I had to change the 2.0 button that I talked about. So multiple buttons. You got to keep CR2032 batteries around. Oh no, okay. Sorry, I did. It wasn't the 2.0 button. It was the Aqara button, and I think it was maybe a flick button. I can't remember. I changed to multiple batteries, but you got to have CR2032 batteries around if you're going to do HomeKit buttons, let me just say, because they're just going to die. I don't know why they die so much faster than like other things, but anyway, maybe just because they're so small. But I had to charge my Eve motion blinds, but it had been a while since I charged that. I think I charged that like twice a year. So kudos to that. And I realized I had a long enough USB-C cable where I could just plug it into the wall. I usually use a power bank. I'll have like a USB-C power bank, and you put that near the shade. But anyway, that charges pretty quickly. And then finally, the most annoying thing, and the thing I haven't fixed yet, is my pair of HomePods here in the studio. I'm looking at it right now with some amount of disdain. They're not working. I don't know why. Like, they say they're not connected to the internet. I'm literally here in the studio, 1,000 devices connected to the internet over Wi-Fi. I'm literally doing a call with you right now. I unplugged them and plugged them back in, did the whole power cycle thing. I try to ask the assistant anything, and it just says, there's nothing. There's nothing. Let me watch. Let me do this. I'm going to mute it for half a second while I say the key phrase, and then maybe you can hear the HomePod. So watch this. All right, I just asked it something.
Currently clear and 89 degrees. Expect partly cloudy skies starting tonight. Temperatures are heading down from 90 to 81 degrees tonight.
All right, apparently it's connected to the internet now because it just told me the weather. Let me try one other thing because I was doing a HomeKit command and it wasn't working. So I'm going to try one thing. And now it's working just fine. I asked my assistant to turn off the key light and it worked just fine. And so now let me try it one more time. Turning it on now. I guess it's working fine now. So never mind. HomePods are good to go. I don't know why they were not working before. Well, I just ran multiple home commands and scenes, and they're working fine now, so never mind.
Nice.
I don't know what
Nice.
was up with the HomePods. They just needed to know I was talking to you, I guess. So anyway, working great. So that was my experience. Just have some CR2032 batteries and a camera in the garage as a pro tip. That's my travel experience. Oh, and this guy. I like this guy. But that's not part of it. All right.
Nice.
Fine. You have a review. You get a new TV. Is this a new TV that you got?
This is one I've been testing. I don't have it anymore, and it's one of those things where I'll share my anecdote at the end. But full review of this guy. This is the Samsung S95C. So this is one of their new TVs, and it's pretty crazy. So we're talking about like high-end sets here, very high-end sets. I think it's like pushing like $4,000 for this particular model. I had the 77-inch. There's also like a 55, 65, and 85-inch version, and it fit so beautifully right there in the living room. It was just well positioned in there. So this is a quantum dot OLED TV. It looked amazing. The blacks are just inky black. It's incredibly bright, which one, super fun to film. Anyone who's filmed lights, bright TVs, pain in the butt, because you're gonna get like the TV will be like well exposed, and then the entire room will be like pitch black, basically.
Yes.
You can't do the TV and the room at the same time unless you have like massive studio lights to light your environment, because it's crazy. But this thing, we won't go everything, but the couple things that make this super cool is compared to like the S9 or the 90C, I believe, versus the 95, is that this has that right there on screen, which is the One Connect box. So they've moved all of the innards into this external box, and it connects with an 8-foot cable that will give you like your data, your power, your video, audio, all of that stuff to your television. So there's all the inputs on the back of this. Now I will say, someone did point out that because it's connected through that One Connect box, it does limit the bandwidth, so you don't get the full bandwidth on some of the HDMI ports. But for me, that wasn't something that I was concerned about. This thing was super cool. Of all the TVs that I reviewed, the only other one that I've seen that was close to this was the LG G3, I want to say. And that one is a little brighter, and I think it might be a little bit cheaper, which is nice.
Okay.
But this thing, Steven, is only 11 millimeters thick. Like,
sheesh.
It is. There's like a side shot right there.
There's the shot.
You can't even see it. It's literally the entire thing. It's uniformly 11 millimeters thick. So put this on the wall, run that slim cable, through your wall. Just drop it down and run it to this One Connect box, and
that's nice.
It's beautiful. It does have AirPlay. Sony, or not Sony, but Samsung does not want to support HomeKit, but they will support AirPlay. So it does show in the Home app and through AirPlay for mirroring video as well as audio, but they don't do the whole HomeKit control with the Home app like inputs and all that stuff, which is still a bummer, but they want you to use smart things instead, of course. So, makes sense, but I wouldn't be surprised if this showed up in Matter at some point, and then you could just control it that way. Either way, this TV is so cool, and I switched back to my existing TV, which is a good TV, like a $1,500 or so TV. First off, it looks tiny. It's a 65-inch, and it looks ridiculous now in the living room because it's a foot smaller than the 77-inch model.
Smaller.
And it's one of, I might have shared this anecdote before on televisions, but I had this friend in college who didn't really see any benefit in like HD. This is like when the DVD to Blu-ray situation was going, like, there's not that much of a difference. Like it's not my thing. So she was watching Dexter, and she was renting Dexter from probably like, I don't know, Netflix or a physical store.
Sure.
I don't know, but she was watching Dexter, and she had always rented the DVDs. And then she went for like the next season, didn't have no DVDs. They only had Blu-rays. So she took a Blu-ray home. She watched Dexter. Yeah, this is much different. It's basically the same on Blu-rays as it is on DVDs. I don't see the benefit. So she watched like the whole season on Blu-ray. She goes back to the store, gets the next season, goes back to DVD. Why pay extra for those Blu-rays? Why pay extra for that HD? She comes home, puts it in. Why does this look like garbage? Like that was her first thought. Was this looks terrible?
Ooh.
So like she went from the DVD to the Blu-ray. Not much of a difference. And then she goes back and it looks awful. And like I've heard the same thing with audio. You compare side by side. Huge difference. So like when I'm testing headphones, I'll listen to the new ones for a really long time, get my ears like adjusted. Then you go back to something that and it's like, wow, this sounds terrible. And that's how I felt even with this. Like I liked the picture on my old TV a lot. It had Dolby Vision. It was a really nice TV, but it wasn't quantum dot and OLED. So after I went back, I'm like, why is my TV so dark? Is there something wrong with it? It looks dim. Like it literally looks like the backlight. Like it just looked so bad in comparison. And we have these two sliding doors, right next to the TV, basically in the living room, and we have a lot of light coming in the first half of the day, and it'll kind of blow out the TV sometimes. And then with the Samsung, it's so bright, we never experienced that issue. And I've gotten adjusted to it. And we returned the set, and I go back to the other one. I'm like, I can't even see the TV in half the room because of the glare. So these are little things. There are other options. Samsung does have like the S90C that is a little bit cheaper, and it has most of the same features, but they don't have like the one Connect box, and it's not as bright. And then the LG G3 is also a solid option that has a really nice anti-reflective screen going on, but also a little bit rare. So I like. There's a few options here, but this is the one that we were testing, and it was a spectacular TV. It was so fun to watch movies on. I was like just binging, like rewatching like the John Wick movies because they're so dark with like backlit color and stuff. I watched the new Fast and Furious because what better thing to watch on TV than just a dumb action movie? Like, let's go. Rewatched Guardians of the Galaxy 3 on there. So many things about this are wonderful, but it's a really cool set. If anyone is in the market for a particularly large TV, reliability was super spot on. I've had issues with some of the LG operating system actually before in the past, so it was when I was a little bit hesitant when I had an LG and it would like freeze and had a couple things going on with it. So I think that's the other reason why I would lean personally towards the Samsung, even if it doesn't support things like Dolby Vision or HomeKit.
So I see here the pricing on the LG TV you put in the video. What's the pricing on this guy?
I think it's actually on sale for the same exact price. So the LG G3 is like $4,300, and I think the Samsung is on sale for the 77-inch for pretty much the same thing. You got to pull it up, but I can't read it because it's tiny.
4,300.
Okay,
yeah.
So basically the same thing at this point. The LG was cheaper. This thing just launched too. It's a 2023 model, launched I think like 2 months ago maybe. Reviews have just started kind of trickling out about it, but similar pricing. But yeah, the S90C is not a bad alternative. It has a lot of the similar tech, but it doesn't have that one Connect box.
So wild. I mean, I've never spent that much on a TV, but I'm sure it looks amazing. And that you can get it all the way up to 83 inches. That's pretty wild. Yeah. Because we have a 80-something inch TV in a very large room, but it's like an inexpensive LG. Like it was maybe $1,100 or something for 83 inches. And so like it doesn't have local dimming. It's not good viewing angles. Like it's not great. But I also found as we were looking at 80-something inch TVs, like there's actually not a ton of options for good TVs at that size. And so if you really wanted a big TV, maybe you're trying to make like a home theater room and you're debating between like projector or not, or maybe it's a multi-purpose room that you can't really get perfect like you would a dedicated home theater room in your house. My goodness, like an 83-inch TV like this, that would be insane. That'd be amazing. Anyway.
Yeah, I know Faith was like a little like 77 inches. Really, do we need one that large? And of course, my answer's like, yes, absolutely.
Always.
There's no such thing as too big of a TV. So
that's right.
She was like, oh, the fan of that, and then we put it in there. She's like, why does the TV look so small now? Our TV looks tiny.
There it is.
Yeah.
So wait, did you have an anecdote about like trying to ship that thing back?
Dude, they handled that part. Like they literally sent somebody out to come and get it and collect it and drive it back. I wasn't touching this thing. Like I've reviewed a lot of TVs from a lot of different manufacturers. So Samsung just sent this over to me as a loaner for a few weeks to review, which is typically the case with a lot of the televisions that we review. So there's not like. I wasn't doing it. It's too big.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to. I don't want to bust this thing. Apparently, there is some flex in that screen, from what I've read. But no, I'm not even going there. Not even going there.
No. Oh, very cool. Well, I mean, that's an aspirational TV for me. I'd love to have that maybe one day, but that's something. Well, very cool. Well, listeners, let us know if you have any questions, your HomeKit projects going on. Send us on Threads. Andrew's still there, even if he doesn't like it. He's on Threads. We're on X or Mastodon. Man, just the words that we used to use for social media has changed in the last year. You used to say Twitter and Mastodon, and now it's Threads, X, and Mastodon. But anyway, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Any HomeKiteer ladies out there would like to continue to hear from you guys where you are all over the world. And what you guys doing?
See you, everybody.